Hi, I'm here today to speak as a supporter of the remote option. Not only should parents be given options so that they can make the choice that is best for their family, but I think we are all not putting enough emphasis on the fact that this is a crisis that's being driven by medical conditions. Right now, we know that the Delta variant is on the rise, and in the foreseeable future that there will be increased cases once people are congregated in enclosed spaces. We don't know enough yet about how children are affected by this disease, but we do know that cases are happening in younger and younger age groups. Um, Presently, the vaccine rate for teens, although it has been made eligible for ages 12 to 15, is still at a low rate. We understand in our communities that there is hesitancy, even though the FDA has recently approved the vaccine. This is just a matter of labeling and is not addressing the insecurities and the lack of faith that people have had in the vaccines. We basically need more time to make informed choices that we feel comfortable with, especially as a parent, to put our children in situations that could be potentially dangerous in ways that we don't know yet in terms of the manifestation of this disease. It would be wise to not only have a remote option, but even if we are going to go ahead with an in-person option, to possibly delay school reopening. The mayor has set a September 27th deadline, very late in the month, for on the 27th, the very last week, for teachers, even though if mandated to have this vaccine, to take the vaccine. It's not common knowledge that vaccines are not effective, immediately after being given. So we'll be up to another month after that time before immunity begins to kick in for those who are receiving the vaccine for the first time during the month of September. And even for the teachers who were vaccinated, early on in the beginning of this year, in January, we know that their immunity and antibody levels are waning, which is why the booster is recommended. But again, it takes time once getting a booster for the immunity levels and the antibodies to build up again to a point in which they are become protective. So it's not wise to have opening day completely in person for the middle of September. We saw last year that even with the delay of with the September start date, we know we like to keep routines and we want to go back to what's considered normal, but that was too early because there was a rise of infections and schools had to close very shortly after reopening last year. We don't want to repeat the mistakes. We know we have more information now about the virus, the coronavirus, than we did a year ago, but not enough to make decisions to say, yes, we're comfortable to going back to the in-school setting where we have, 25, 30 kids in an enclosed place, without proper ventilation and air filtration, close social distancing. We've come to accept this as a new norm, but for children returning to spaces, it's very difficult to follow these guidelines that would keep them the most safe. If not, the conditions are not optimal as it is, but to ask children who haven't seen each other and haven't had contact for so long to maintain this distancing that will keep them safe is very challenging. For the adults in this setting, it's just a matter of increased anxiety. We need more time just to prepare if we are going to go back in person, to have things set up in a way that protocols are being followed and are going to present the best results in the end. So overall, we need more time to plan, and from a medical perspective, to realize that antibodies take time to build even after getting vaccinated. Um, the UFT and the teachers still have not come to an agreement about whether or not all teachers will be vaccinated, and parents don't have the information in terms of knowing exactly whether or not their child's teachers or the entirety of the school staff are, completely disease-free within the school setting. We have to take into consideration the fact that there's an incubation period. So with the start date of mid-September, we can expect a rise in infection by the end of September. Not to scare people, but again, just so that they are mindful and are able to make informed decisions. Being fully vaccinated, we know, does not mean that you cannot become infected and then contagious and pass on the virus to children who are unprotected, and even if do not develop symptoms themselves, can bring home this virus to family members who are more susceptible to having life-threatening complications. So the best thing is for us to have an alternative for those who do not feel comfortable, and that would be the remote option. But for even in person, for there to be a delay in reopening until the conditions are safer and more of the staff and the students are vaccinated, or those who were vaccinated are able to get boosters. This is, still a matter of personal choice, but we want to allow those who are skeptical to be able to make informed decisions and be able to prepare. That's always the key in terms of, are we ready to go back in September? And I think the answer is no, because there's, multi-layers to consider. But number one, that this is a health crisis and that it takes time to develop antibodies. We are in a position still where not enough people are vaccinated so that we have herd immunity. And there's almost a false sense of security that has been projected even amongst those who are vaccinated. Again, I'm just repeating that it takes time for the antibodies to develop to the point where a person is protected after they receive the first dose. It's a matter of a month, and then even 2 weeks after receiving the second dose. So a total of 5 weeks before a person is considered immune with the best protection that we currently have. And for those who receive the vaccine earlier in the school year, that they are not able to get a booster until 8 months after their second dose, that leaves the teachers specifically in a window period where, yes, they may have been vaccinated, but the antibodies have now weaned off and they are no longer have protection at a level that would prevent them from becoming infected and possibly passing on the virus to those who are completely unvaccinated or have not yet developed immunity for themselves. So in the interest of providing time for this process to develop, we should delay opening and have remote schooling as an option in the interim until we're able to prove that the level of the community that is vaccinated and has antibodies is higher, but also for those who are immunocompromised, specifically to have the option of remote learning be continued for as long as they feel it necessary. And overall, just a matter of having options presented so that we have the ability to make an informed choice that's best for your individual child and your family and your community. Thank you so much for your time.